All right, Amy, you're up.
So back in 2010, my family and I took a trip to New Jersey. And while we were there, we wanted to go up to see Ground Zero in New York. It turned out that the same day we planned on doing that, the Queen of England was going to be there. And although it would have been a pretty cool opportunity to at least get a glance of her, we decided to stay back and avoid the crowds. We haven't seen Ground Zero or the Queen, but it sparked an interest, and I wanted to get to know more about the Queen of England. So around the same time, I took my third year of French class in high school, and we went over the French government. And I like learning about governments. It's just me, maybe not all of you, but I decided that this would be a good topic so I can explore more of my interests in government and going over the English government. So today, I want to enlighten you on the roles of the Queen of England and what she does in her government. This right here is the flag for the Queen of England today, Queen Elizabeth II. A lot of you know who she is, but don't know exactly what she does. Some people consider her to be just an elder British lady that drinks tea and likes to hold ceremonies. But in fact, she actually wears many hats, figuratively and literally. She is the head of armed forces, the head of state, and the head of the Church of England. First off, I wanted to discuss the head of state. I read in Political Geography Now, Queen Elizabeth's 16 countries, that she is head of 16 independent countries, including England. This also includes Canada, the UK, Australia, the Bahamas, Jamaica, and pretty much everything that's highlighted on that map. As you can see, Canada, Australia, and the UK are the most prominent. She's also head of 3 crown dependencies, which means that they're self-governed, and 14 British overseas territories. This is a huge improvement from 1952 when Queen Elizabeth II was first coronated, and there are only 7 realms that she was the head of. This included Pakistan, Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka, and South Africa. The next hat that I want to cover is the head of armed forces. I read an article that the British Monarchist League let out saying that she is the only one to declare war or peace. She also has the title as Colonel-in-Chief, which means she meets with the colonels and she meets with generals and gives them meetings. She also goes to different services, forts, ships, and everywhere naval or army type places where she meets the servicemen and the servicewomen personally and thanks them and greets them and all of that. And there's this guy, the Defense Services Secretary, that lives in the Royal Palace and acts as a link between the Queen and the armed forces. And he is there to set up these meetings and also to give her to enlighten her on some of the stuff that is currently going on. And while colonels or other servicemen visit the Royal Palace, the royal family likes to wear the regiment and the brooches of the certain party, and this is an example of one of them. Okay. The next topic that I want to cover is that she's the head of the Church of England. The official website of the Church of England says that she appoints archbishops, bishops, and deans, and it all comes through advice by the Prime Minister. There actually has been some sort of controversy in the past few years regarding the title of the head of the Church of England. They don't think it's as prominent anymore because there is such thing as Judaism and Islam coming in due to immigration, and it's being more plentiful. So this right here, just want to briefly mention that this is the Canterbury Cathedral, one of the most prominent cathedrals that you'll find there, and one of the ones that the Queen of England covers. Janabi Barrow wrote an article on the topic of Judaism and Islam coming into England, and said that he took he saw that BBC took a survey in 2010 and said that nearly 3/4 of the people of England thought that the Queen should retain her position. The Queen was actually quoted defending the role and the church, saying, "Its role is not to defend Anglicanism to the exclusion of all other religions. Instead, the church has a duty to protect free practice of all faiths in this country." Despite this, Prince Charles her son says that when he takes over the throne, he wants to change the primary title from Defender of Faith to Defender of Faiths, and 50% of the people of England are behind him on this decision. Last but not least, I just briefly wanted to cover her relationship with the Prime Minister. I'm sure you've heard me toss that name a few times in the speech, and this here is David Cameron. He is the current Prime Minister and started this role in 2010. The official website of the British monarchy was telling me that the Prime Minister and the Queen hold weekly meetings, and this is where the Queen expresses her views on what's going on in the government. This is also where the Prime Minister will give her advice. He can even consider her eliminating the Parliament, but primary, this is the Queen's decision to come up with. So, in conclusion, you have found out today that the Queen of England wears many hats. She's the head of state, the head of armed forces, and the head of the Church of England. She's not just the elder lady that drinks tea and likes to hold ceremonies, but she is still a prominent figure, and a lot of people look up to her, and that's why she still has to come up with honor and poise and just elegance throughout the nation so people can still find her as a good role model. I hope you guys were able to figure out that the Queen of England is still a very important role today. Thank you.
Good job.
When they got us
Yeah, I know it's spelled. I used to say Colonel for the longest time, but then he told me why would it be Colonel? It doesn't even look
probably not called.
I like Nemo, but I totally spaced.
It's okay. Everyone knew what you were talking about.
I don't know nothing about it.
All right, Erica, since you were in this spot, tell us what you thought.
So I thought your overall, like the hook and your topic was clear to me about the Queen of England, and I thought your sources were good. Like you cited them good and everything, and you like had a loud, clear voice. I think you can improve like a little bit on your transitions because I was a little bit lost. I wasn't like too lost, but it was good. And then you kept the pictures on a little bit too long. Like you could have like had like black screens in between them because that was kind of distracting. I kept looking at that. And I liked your visual aids. Like I liked the map, and like I didn't know that she had the 12 or 13 other countries or 16, right? Yeah, 16. So I like that. Overall, I liked your speech. Like I didn't know a lot about it, so it was interesting, and I liked it.
Okay. I like the attention device, the family experience, and getting bumped from being able to see Ground Zero because the Queen was in town. Yeah, those damn foreigners are coming over here and taking up all of our space, so we can't get anything done. So the justification sounded a little bit more like it was for you than it was for us, and I think you want to do a little bit better job at selling this as a subject to us, not just your own enthusiasm on it. There's a pretty good preview of the presentation. Supporting material was fine. Explanations, you're trying to cover a lot of territory here. I thought, for example, at the end, well, during the speech, you make reference to the quote that the prince wants to change, that the queen has these titles, and one of them is Defender of the Faith. It sounded to me like all the three titles that you're talking about are actually in that quote, and you could have used that as your preview, and that I think would have been kind of fun to go along with the other things that you do. It's an afterthought. I'm thinking about it. Defender of the faith, protector of the nation, that sort of thing. And well, those are the roles that she has, and that would make it sense to go ahead and use the same sort of thing for your preview and your structure. The visuals I thought were integrated pretty well into the speech. They're usually used as transition points to remind us where we are next. You also have a little bit of humor built in with the different hats that she wears. I appreciated that. I thought that was fine. There are a couple of other things in there that maybe they are not exactly necessary. They add a little bit of interest, but they don't really help us understand much her role. For example, the flag, I'm not exactly sure that was essential. Defender of the empire sort of thing, when you show the globe and all of the countries where she is the titular head of the country, I thought that makes sense, and we get a chance to see that. You could, despite the fact that the British Empire is largely, all of those countries are now independent, they still keep her as a figurehead for those kinds of things, and I thought that was interesting that you listed all those sorts of things. The map is okay, although there are some of the images, I should say some of the shading is a little bit different, and it seemed to me that you had the one shading you mentioned, Pakistan. I'm going, well, that's all of India and Pakistan that's shaded the same way there. And I started thinking about, well, why is that the case in this particular situation? She does remain as the titular head. She's not the titular head. That's all former stuff. That was a little bit confusing. The other ones were okay, the darker ones, because she continues to be the figurehead in those particular countries. I thought you did a very good job speaking to the audience and talking to us, and it was very natural when you're speaking as well. So I thought that worked well too. All right, thank you. I would